Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us once again today. I'm so excited that we're doing this today. So many things are happening here in America. Someone will say this American lifestyle. Um, I apologize for that echo at the background. Anyways, so a lot of things have changed in the American immigration policy, and I'm so grateful that we have attorneys, seasoned attorneys in the house who are about to educate us, update us on what is happening in the US if you're hoping to become an American resident, an American citizen, or if you're just planning on visiting the US as well. If you're trying to get American visas, different types of visas, different categories, they will be more than happy to answer our questions today. What should you know? Can you still come to the US to have your baby? Would your baby be an American citizen? Has that changed? What's the price of visa now? If someone is trying to apply for American visa, is it true Nigerians only get like 3 months visa validity now? With single entry and so on and so forth. If you're filing by marriage, what's the deal now? What has changed under the new administration? So we're basically giving you guys free consultation just for the time of this live show. But like I always say, if you need further help, these amazing women have helped hundreds and they've helped thousands and they'll be able to help you as well. They don't need much introduction. By the way, they are based in Houston, Texas. I've been to their office personally. If you need someone to go and check them out, please feel free to. I have Attorney Busayo of Hashidi and Attorney Jiva Sugatan with me today in the house. Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for coming. You're both muted, so keep that in mind. And without further ado, I will just let you guys open by telling us some of the changes that we can expect when it comes to American immigration policy. Now, for my audience that are watching, if you have any questions at all, you can literally start typing them now because most times we don't get to ask all the questions. But I will also advise that you listen to the attorneys first because they may actually address your concern or your question. And then right after they are done, I'll start picking questions from the audience. So please feel free to talk to us. Anybody, either of you that wants to go first.
Thank you for having us. Jiva, do you want to go first on the
So
integrity
go ahead,
part?
please.
Oh, okay. So for general updates, with regards to, I think I'll start with the marriage-based applications. We're seeing greater scrutiny now at the field offices. So far, like as long as you're not subject to expedited removal, which means that you've been in the US longer than 2 years, you don't have like criminal history or an outstanding order of removal, you should not be detained at your immigration interview. Like I've been to several so far, none of my clients, even though they're out of status, but we had the pending I-485 cases, none of them have been picked up by ICE when they went in for their interview. There's what we're seeing mostly is greater scrutiny on those cases. So some situations like in the past, the officers were able to approve cases right there on the spot. Now they will tell you that they have to send it to a supervisor for review, prior to the approval. And now they're very, very strict on some things. So you have to ensure that your application is, everything is put in correctly. So another thing, there was an NTA notice that went out earlier this year, and which essentially in a nutshell says that if any application is denied and the person does not have any other pending petition or so, the individual will be placed in removal proceedings. So the way that we've seen it play out is you file a marriage-based adjustment of status application, and then the I-485 is denied, or even the I-130 is, if the I-130 is denied and the I-485 is denied, which is the I-130 is the base petition, the petition by the alien relative for their spouse, who is not yet a permanent resident. Then the I-485 is the application to adjust status. So once the applications are denied, immediately they are putting people in removal proceedings. That is what we've seen so far. So they are enforcing the NTA notice. So if you have a pending application or if your application is denied, expect to be placed in removal proceedings. However, that said, I know that there's a lot of fear right now, especially if you're watching like all those especially even if you're on the like on the White House what's it called, or the USCIS social media pages, there is a lot of fear. Like they're constantly or consistently posting videos, picture, images of people that were apprehended and detained. I want to say that I don't, but in my own practice, right, that there is more back than the actual bite. So if you know that you're not subject to expedited removal, like you've been here longer than the 2 years, you don't have like some criminal charges that can make you what's it called, that can put you in those type of proceedings, or maybe you just show up at the border without any papers, people like that. They're not generally picking people up, even in removal proceedings. I had to travel to Indianapolis recently because my client was afraid to be at a hearing by herself. And my own, like when I went there, there was I didn't see any ICE agents there ready. There were quite a number of people who had their master calendar hearing on the same day, and people were not apprehended at their hearings. So don't be afraid, as long as you know that you don't have, there's some people that are subject to mandatory detention. So if you do have a criminal conviction or a pending criminal case, you will be subject to mandatory detention. But if you don't fall within those categories of people, you shouldn't be fearful. Go confidently. Make sure you're present at your hearing. Don't want one thing that you want to avoid is an in absentia order of removal. And just to emphasize again, if you have a pending application, ensure that everything is put in correctly. Even the affidavit of support is enough to get you a denial on your I-485. So make sure that you have a valid sponsor. Right now, I'm not even like in the past, I used to try and be creative. Now I'm not, I don't try to be creative on the affidavit of support. So what I expect is for my clients to provide me somebody who has clear financial strength that can be a co-sponsor or a joint sponsor on those applications. So those are some of the things. Then also, if you're going in for your permanent residence interviews, they've always asked questions to try and to try and understand whether or not you entered into a valid marital relationship. So expect those type of questions. The only other thing is that now they're scrutinizing your social media handles. They want to know whether you're anti-Jew or you belong to a terrorist organization, things like that. So yes, they are scrutinizing those type of handles. So make sure, go over before you even appear at your interview, clean up your social media handles. Go on there, check to see what you have on your social media. Ensure that you don't have anything. And if you're following anybody who is a terror who believes in all this terror who belongs to a terror te- a what's it called, like an organization that can be suspicious, or maybe people who post anti-Semitic things online, make sure you unfollow them. Clean up your, and if you're married, let there be images of you and your spouse together on those social media handles. Make sure you're presenting yourself as you are a married couple, if you have nothing to hide, because they will scrutinize your online social media accounts, just to ensure that your marriage is valid, and also to ensure that you're not posting anything that is terroristic out there, because now it's become a ground on inadmissibility. So those are some of the things that we need to keep in mind, especially if you're filing marriage-based applications. So another thing is that the fee schedule has changed. So make sure that before you file any application, you check the current fee schedule to ensure that you're putting in the correct fee amount, because you don't want your application to be rejected, especially if you're working within a certain time frame. So there was a recent, under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that was recently signed into law. What we see now is that there's going to be $100 asylum maintenance fee. So for those people who have pending asylum cases, there's going to be a fee, an annual fee, $100, and there's now an application fee for asylum. They never used to be. This is the first time they're implementing a fee, but there's going to be a fee now for asylum. So another thing that I wanted to, that came to my mind with regards to asylum that we're seeing now is that we have people whose cases have been pending for like 9, 8, 9, 10 years, or even those ones that are getting to 10 year the 10-year mark. So what we're seeing now is that most of those ones are beginning to receive interview notices. So one thing about those interview notices is that there's something in removal proceedings I can only apply. There's a relief in removal proceedings called cancellation of removal. So for a non-citizen to apply for cancellation of removal, they have to show that they've been in the United States for 10 years, and then they now have to have a qualifying relative who it will be extreme hard, who it will constitute extreme hardship to if they have to deport them or remove them from the United States. So what I'm saying now is that people that are about to hit that mark of 10 years are those ones receiving the notices for interviews. And that becomes important because once a person is referred to the judge or an or removal proceedings are instituted, it stops the clock for the cancellation of removal. So it's almost as if people are being prevented from gaining the amount of time that they need, for them to become eligible for that relief in removal. So what I had a consultation recently and I didn't know how to present it better than make sure you do have a backup plan. Start thinking outside the box. What can you do if this application does not go well? What is there any other country that you can consider? Is there any other thing that you can do? Don't just put your case in one or eggs in one basket. So you have to be very careful. What else can you do? Start thinking about it. Talk to your attorney about it. Seek other options ahead of time. And know that the standard for asylum, because if the case is denied, the person is referred immediately to removal proceedings. That means the person has to go before a court. And please stop advising people to file for asylum. Please just, have them seek counsel, seek other options that are available to them instead of asylum, because once the asylum is denied, they're going to be placed in removal proceedings immediately. And that is what we're beginning to see now. So you have people who have lived here for years and they have work authorization, they've established a family, established their life here in the United States. But at the end of the day, they may be removed, because their asylum cases are not going well, and then they're placed in removal proceedings. And you also have to, if you are in removal proceedings, make sure you check the judge. So that way you have an understanding of what you're up against when you go to court to plead your asylum cases. There was, I think it was during this past week that I had to do that with a client in consultation, and the judge, he denies about 90 something percent of the asylum cases before him. So you understand that you have to be able to prove your case. I'm not saying that it's wrong to file for asylum, but make sure that you ensure that you have evidence. So if you've been scheduled for an interview, don't be afraid. The important thing right now is for you to start gathering every information that you have with regards to your case, anything that you have, supporting documentation, so that way you have something to present at your immigration interview, at your asylum interview. So another thing that has occurred so far is one thing we need to understand, and this was the case the last time that we had the Trump administration, is that there are a lot of dormant laws that nobody used to even consider. Those are the kind of laws that are now implemented or enforced rather. So there's always been the law that, okay, if you have a deportation order and you refuse to leave, there's penalty. I think it's like $500 a day or something. But everyone, in the past, the government never enforced those laws. But now they're beginning to enforce it because some people are actually receiving invoices from the government telling them that they owe massive amount of money. So some of those laws that have laid dormant for a very long time, they're now beginning to enforce it. So if you know that you filed an application and you moved, make sure that you file a change of status with the USCIS within 10 days of your move, or when you change your addresses. Make sure you file that, because that is actually a deportable offense, even though it's never really enforced, but at least it's there. Make sure that you stay on the right side of the law, especially now with everything that is going on. So some of these laws have always been there. It's just that people, the government has always ignored them. So we're going to be seeing more of that as things unfold. So with regards to the birthright citizenship, I'm sure a lot of us probably heard of the Supreme Court's decision, which the way the decision in a nutshell it's not that it's precluding the federal courts from granting nationwide injunctions, no. But what it's saying is that you cannot grant nationwide injunctions for people who were not party to a particular proceeding. So, which means that you can't just like so, but it could still be effected in a class action lawsuit. So that is what happened. So immediately after the Supreme Court decision, I think in June. So actually, the law, the executive order is actually supposed to go into effect today, the 27th of June. But immediately afterwards, the ACLU, and I believe with some other organizations also, they did file another lawsuit, a class action lawsuit this time around, including people that it may affect. And the judge did grant their request. So there's another order, another injunction in place now, a nationwide injunction in place now.
I'm trying to understand that. First of all, I need to apologize to our viewers on YouTube. We were live, but it wasn't public on YouTube. My sister apologies. We were live on Facebook, and I saw that all the comments were coming from Facebook. And then someone texted me, when are you starting? I'm like, we started on time. I'm truly sorry to all our YouTube people. The lawyers, they've said a lot of things, but I just want to understand the last point you made right now. So, um, if someone should come to the US to have their baby, for the baby to be a citizen, um, how much grace do they have? When is there no more, you are no longer getting your citizenship by birth? When is that going into effect? And from what you are saying, are you saying that it is still being challenged? It is not final yet?
It's not final yet. So even the Supreme Court decision, the focus was only on injunction. The focus was not on the constitutionality of the executive order. So that is still going to have to get to reach the Supreme Court for final decision. But right now, the cases are still with the lower court. So there's an injunction in place now. So if you come to the US at this point and you do have your baby is still going to be a US citizen.
Okay. So for how long is the grace that people
Um,
have to have their baby?
we right now
Because
we don't have.
initially I was hearing that some July something
Yeah,
is
it
the
was supposed to be
deadline.
July. It was supposed to go into effect July 27th. But I think the New Hampshire case, because it was a case that was filed in a federal court in New Hampshire, the judge issued the order on July 10th or so, the July 10th or 11th. So we have that in place now. So that is what we have right now until probably the current administration decides to challenge it again, all the way to the Supreme Court, and then we see what happens again. So right now there's another injunction in place, and this time is a class action. So what they're saying is that it's too broad. So, but we haven't seen any, how will I say it? There's not been any, I don't know if there's a challenge yet on that, but there's no decision from the Supreme Court addressing whether or not that injunction is broad.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to allow Ms. Jiva to say some things in terms of work visas, but I also want to say real quick that if you have any questions, if you're watching and you have questions, just type it. I'm going to start picking questions soon. And before I ask Auntie Jiva, so did you say that green card holders now? I think first of all, from everything that you have said, we now have to start paying attention to some things that we were not paying attention to, like all
Definitely.
the things that they like on your social security card, the things they wrote in there, how many people have actually read it, how many people signed their social security card. Some people don't know that they're supposed to sign it. The things they say to you during citizenship, like we now have to start paying more attention, because a lot of these things you said they've already been there but they were not enforced. Now they are being enforced. So green card holders now have to carry their green card
Yes,
everywhere,
green
right?
card holders now have to carry their green card because under the law, you're supposed to have your green card on you.
But what
So,
if it gets lost though? Because it
um,
can easily get lost if people have to take it everywhere they go.
Then you file for a replacement. And once
Yeah.
you file for a replacement of your green card, you get a receipt notice. So have your replacement on you. Or at least at the minimum have a photocopy of your your card on you. But I would say have your card on you, just generally. Even not just green card holders. If you're in these times that we live in,
If you're a naturalized,
even if you're a US citizen, you can always get the passport card. And this is not the time to start arguing. I believe we discussed that at our very first session. This is not the time to start arguing. If the officer stops you and they want proof of your citizenship, even if you were born in the United States, nothing is going to cost you. Just bring it out because you don't want to find yourself in a foreign country before you are now able to find your way back to the United States. So before you can blink your eyelid, they're putting people straight on the what's it called, the
deportation.
like on the flights. There was
And
I don't know
now
who
they're
was
taking people to countries that they have no affiliation with.
exactly. There was someone that went in with a client and they couldn't, like, before they knew it, the person was they found the guy in maybe Guatemala hospital, like somebody that has resided in the United States for years. So just be careful. Have your no need to argue with the officer. They want to see a form of identification. Identify yourself. If you're a US citizen, have you a copy of your any document to prove your citizen. If you're a green card holder, carry your green card and be careful with your wallet.
All right, Miss Jiva, I'm gonna have you talk to us about some of the changes that we can expect. Just to make everybody laugh, Farm Trust Africa says Nigerian passport is green. Which other green are we are we looking for again? So I guess we can all carry Nigerian passport and show the
Right.
US immigration officers. Hey, this is my green card. It's a Nigerian one.
Mhm.
All right, Miss Jiva, please. You have
Yeah, regarding the work permits, I thought I'll talk about one of my clients. He sent me an email today. He was looking to file for his L1A visa. So he's worried that the new 3 month validity, right, for Nigerian nationals for visas would affect his L1 application. So that's the new rule. Like Nigerians are issued a visa. Earlier it was multiple entry for 5 years. Since July 8th, there was a notification from Department of State stating that Nigeria and some other African countries are given only 3 months validity. That means that the visa, when you go for your visa interview for a non-immigrant visa, not diplomatic, though, only non-immigrants, they will give you a visa which is valid only for 3 months. So, what you have to understand is a distinction between visa status and your stay, right? So, visa is just a document for you to travel to the United States. Once you get on a plane and reach the United States, they're going to at the border, I mean at CBP, is going to look at your documents and decide how long you can stay. So if you're a visitor, they're a visitor like B1, B2 visa, they're going to give you only 3 months. But for example, if you have an approved L1A petition or an H1B petition and you're coming in, they will check the validity of your petition. In case of H1B, it's going to be 3 years. And if it's a L1 new offers, it could be 1 year or otherwise 3 years. So what they're going to do is you can travel on that visa. Once you come at the border, they'll give you an I-94 that's valid for your petition. So it's not going to affect your status like your student visa or anything. It's only a matter of traveling to the US. Earlier it was easy. So your visa expires after 3 months. So after 3 months, you're in the US in your new status and you want to travel and come back, you have to go again for a visa interview. That's the inconvenience in the new rule. We are hoping it will be reversed because the United States Department of State has mentioned that it's got to do with reciprocity with the countries. Apparently, Nigeria does not allow US citizens to have more than 3 months in a single entry. So that's the reason they have implemented this. It could change. That's what they're saying. It's not like going to be permanent. Hopefully, it will change soon. So this is the confusion most of our clients having. Does it apply to us? It applies only to a travel. That's what I wanted to like mention. You are muted. We
So
can't
I
hear you.
actually have a number of questions with this. I spoke with some Nigerian officials at the Nigerian embassy, and they were saying that that's not completely accurate. That Nigeria has different categories of visas for American citizens. That yes, they have the one that is single entry 3 months, but they also have like 2 years and so on. Like they have different categories. Anyways, they're still trying to sort out the whole diplomatic thing. Nigeria needs to get its act together so that the US can hopefully allow Nigerian citizens to have more than one single entry. But Miss Jiva, if it says that my visa has 3 months validity, does that, in simple terms, means I need to travel in the next 3 months, or
Yes.
else this visa will expire
Yes, because if you go today and get it issued, it's going to expire in 3 months from today.
next
So
three
yes.
months from today? So what if I'm supposed to attend the conference June of next year, and I already have a visa interview for January?
Mm-hmm.
Or let me say yes, and they issue the visa, but the event I'm coming from is not happening in 3 months. What do I do in that situation? Because I don't want the visa to expire, and I already
Honestly,
have the visa
I,
in.
I have no idea because this was implemented this month, so we have not come across such a situation. What do you say, Buzai? What do you think? What should we do about it? It's a valid question, right? Such an inconvenient situation.
I think the question will become, do you have to utilize your visa if you're granted a visa?
Ah,
So
Yeah,
it's
if
like
a visa that is so hard to get. You
to
are
get
asking, do you have to implement and now that they are
no,
even
but or let's see, let's analyze this, right? Even as things are beginning to unfold. So let's come again. You said the visa interview is January.
So I have, let's assume I have an event June of next year,
Okay,
and
so
I already have a visa interview dates for January of next year. If they
okay,
issue me the visa in January, the visa will expire by April.
yeah.
okay. So if the person enters the country, right,
Mhm.
before that April expiration date.
But my
Hope-
event is not until June. I
No,
can't enter.
let's hopefully, right, the border, like the CBP officer that admits them into the country would give them 6 months on entry.
To stay.
So to stay. So
But I
maybe
don't have budget to stay in America for 6 months.
Exactly.
I
I
have
don't
to pay for hotel and eat.
I
I
understand.
think um, I think this is an appeal to all those officials who are involved with
To please be
this
proactive and
diplomatic
help us.
process to help.
Yes,
Yes, this
because
Yeah.
is
this
now
is
because
kind of
even for
messed
if you
up.
look at students, right? How about
That's what was
you
going to
come,
be my next question.
yeah, you come in, you have your student visa, which grants you like duration of status. You now have an opportunity, maybe study abroad, for maybe like some that has to do with your course, or you want to travel with your friends, but your visa has expired 3 months. So which means you have to go to Nigeria first of all to go and apply for a new visa, re-enter the United States, and then travel. It's just
My
income.
mother, it's not even about going to study abroad. Canada, right here. Like when
Exactly.
I was in college in Michigan, Canada was just a drive. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you just want to go with your friends to Niagara Falls, you can't just come back
Yeah. You can't come
because
back.
now it will be single entry. We need
Another
to
option might be to see if maybe, I know some embassies like Canada used to, and Mexico, they used to allow, as long as you brought in,
your
you've been
student.
issued an initial student visa from your home country, they will allow you to appear at their embassy. So maybe that would work. But it's going to be a tough situation if Canada refuses to grant the visa and the person is stuck abroad.
Okay. And as this person is asking about people who already have the old, maybe 2 years, 5 years, they are not affected, right?
No, they are not affected.
No,
No,
they're
they're
not.
lucky. Right now, they're lucky that they got their visas earlier than this. But on a bright side, right? Me, I want to look at it from the last time we had the travel ban. We don't have the travel. All we have is this inconvenient three
Yeah.
month thing. But last time we had the travel ban, and they're still trying
Oh,
to
have
figure
the student visa ban been lifted?
Yes, it's been lifted, but they are
Oh,
scrutinizing them. They're asking them to now submit like their background, like their social media and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, in
But
fact,
it's been lifted now.
if you go for a student visa interview, you're like by default put into admin processing, everyone, so that they can check their social media. So if you go for your interview, be prepared. It's going to be put in admin processing.
Is it okay if I delete my social media pages just before I go for the interview and then I reinstate it back after I enter America? This is a question that people would want to
I
know.
think the scrutiny would even continue, you know.
Yeah.
So I
After
would just
you enter
after
the
you enter.
country,
Exactly. Though remember news of people being picked up for activism, like they were just picking people up off the streets, almost like kidnapping. So I would just, for right now, you know, I would just maintain a very, very. I'm not saying you shouldn't exercise all your constitutional rights, but some things that are not necessary, you know, you don't want to be putting out there, and make sure your social media is as clean as possible.
so when you say clean, though, what do you mean by clean? Don't say anything bad about the US government
Don't
and
say anything
Israel.
about Israel, about, you know, about terror, all those terror. Don't be a part of all those terrorist organizations, you know, just
Who wants? Nobody is supposed to be part of any terrorist
I
organization.
I totally
Open the door
understand.
now.
But I think like if there's a list out there somewhere of
Okay,
organizations that
so
have been
for this,
classified.
for immigration interview, though, don't if you have anything that you said that is not so welcoming about the U.S. government or about Israel,
Mhm.
and you want visa, if you want visa, we are
Even
not
when
telling
you're
you
at
what
the,
to do,
even when you're
but
trying to enter the country, make
if
sure your phone you don't have all those, delete all your one of those that you're following all these people that are vocally against the current administration. Just unfollow them.
did you just say to unfollow anybody that is vocal? I guess anti
If you
Anyways, someone was asking the other time when you were saying that green card holders now have to carry their green card everywhere. Someone is asking that even with a real ID, you're still required to move about with green card.
I
So I
think
guess even with driver's license is what this person is.
Mhm.
Isn't that enough?
For
Why?
me, I think if you look at the provision, it says that your green card should be on you at all times. That's how, if I can find it, I'll read it out to you so that way you understand. So me, I'll just interpret the law in the way that I was presented. So I understand with the real ID, unless I see everything is unfolding so quickly, you know. So even it's kind of like a lot to
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 catch up with
follow, to catch up with. So I would just, for right now, as things begin to unfold and then we see how things are handled, then yes.
what offense or offenses can make green card be revoked during this administration?
I think generally, not just during this administration. So generally, maybe like drug offenses, um,
Drugs.
drugs, domestic violence.
So
So
don't
you
don't beat your wives.
don't beat your wife, don't beat your husband. But
And
those
don't
are
beat
the ones.
children.
Marijuana is not legalized in every state. No, the states where it is legalized. I'm not saying you
Even
should.
then, because the interpretation of the state might be different from those controlled substances on the federal drug
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
So
And federal law is different.
um, in
Yeah.
another thing that I see, especially for young, if you have teenagers that are green card holders, you need to tell them to be very careful about picking people up around the border, because there are this type of job, you know, in their what's it called, for in when they're trying to look for jobs, like it may come as an Uber like type of thing, that okay, just pick up somebody from somewhere and then bring them into the country. So those type of jobs have landed people in deportation proceedings, because now they're saying that they're transporting illegal aliens into the United States. They're smuggling people, and that actually carries with it a permanent ban. So it's an aggravated felony. So if you're convicted of that, the person wouldn't have the very, very limited relief that that person would be entitled to. So tell
I've
your children,
also
shouldn't be eager to pick up people from the border or any border town. Don't even do carry anyone. I've seen about
This
two cases.
applies more to people who live in like Texas. Like if you live in a border state, I've
Mm-hmm.
also heard about tickets, getting some international like speed tickets, getting international students um in trouble. Just speeding tickets. So is that
Um,
true?
I
Ah,
don't know about that, but I know like I'd like to add about CIMTs, like shoplifting, prostitution, getting arrested for prostitution. Those are all deportable offenses. And speeding was not, but I know that some people are getting into trouble now. We have not. I don't know.
maybe
Besides
with DUI, I'll say if it has to do with driving under
I
the
Yeah,
influence.
DUI, yes.
I saw in the news that some international students were facing deportation for speed tickets,
No, me
and
neither.
then they
Or
sued
did they have like a
the answer.
misdemeanor or something? Maybe
No, they sued. They sued. They were fighting back. I didn't follow up to know
because
what the
it's not
update is.
speeding tickets usually is not
That's
a
exactly what I said. Like
yeah.
how? Like
Or
what?
maybe well, how long
But it
ago
was
was
in the
it?
news. It was a couple of months ago. They were
Yeah,
challenging it,
remember there was that time frame when
like
they were
100
giving a
plus
lot of
students.
students like any
Yes.
little offense. Yeah, but they restored them because I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
a couple
Ah,
of people.
that's good.
Yeah, they
That's
restored
good.
those ones.
That
The
was a
only ones that
mistake, I
still had,
believe.
yeah, the only ones that still had problems were those ones that had actual convictions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, DUI
Also,
is very, very important because if you're on a visa
yes.
here, the you get an email from the Department of State that your visa is revoked if you have a conviction for a DUI. So that's very, very important,
So
especially if you're on a visa.
don't drink and drive. A lot of people are saying it. Also, driving without a driver's license.
In
Uh,
Texas, it's a misdemeanor. So
Yeah.
I think for deportation, you need at least two misdemeanor convictions. I'm not really sure that's the requirement, I believe. But not for visa holders. They don't have any protections like green card holders.
So,
You have to be very careful.
but
think
to be, just on a lighter note, there's still some officers out there that do have a heart. So it's not all officers are you because there's some people that they
But
don't.
how are we supposed to know that this person stopping me
I'm
has
just saying
a
because
heart?
there's the reason I'm saying this is there's a lot of fear out there.
Ah,
So there's still some good. At least
mm.
I've had a case where an officer was still they didn't alert ICE, but most of the time they would, especially in cities or states like Texas where they cooperate with ICE. I'm just saying that they're even in the midst of all the issues and all the fear, there's still some ray of sunlight somewhere.
So I really want us to talk about if there are opportunities in the midst of all the madness that is happening, or if there are opportunities for people to move to the US. But real quick, KG is asking if there is any offense that a naturalized citizen can commit that can cause their citizenship to be revoked.
So for naturalized citizen, it will go back to how you got your citizenship to begin with.
Ah, we are
So
going all the way back.
all the way back. So for people
God.
who, yeah, like for people who they got their green card through fraudulent means, then they can revoke their citizenship. That means which it means that they were not entitled to the green card to begin with. So those ones they can strip them of citizenship. Maybe afterwards, people who do like what's this I've forgotten like how if you're I've forgotten the word. When it comes to me, I'll let you know. Like betraying your government, I've forgotten the actual legal term for it. When it comes, I'll talk to you. I'll mention it. But for most of the cases, those ones that are you can't if you're a naturalized US citizen, if you commit an offense after you became a US citizen, no, they will not revoke your citizenship for that reason. However, if you got your citizenship by fraud, then yes. There's a I think I read an article about this prominent person when he came into the United States. He used somebody else's identity to enter the United States, and he's been operating on that. He's gotten his green card, gotten his citizenship on somebody else's identity. He even wrote a book. So when he wrote his own book, he's putting information about his biological parents, whom he did not claim before, right? So this individual
Ah,
now filed for family members. right? In the course of the I-130, maybe adopted children, that was when they now discovered all this. Such a person was not even entitled to that green card initially because of the fraud. So he could be stripped of his citizenship. So for them to
Wow.
revoke citizenship, you were not entitled to that citizenship, to that to begin with.
Honestly, I think do whatever you can to do things the right way. It may mean that it will take you longer than it will take some people,
Exactly.
but everybody has their own race cut out for them. You're not in competition with anyone. A lot of us Africans, especially, as soon as people get to the US, they get advice, all kinds of advice from their friends. And I've always said it's the first thing you need to do if you want to live in the US legally. Sit down with an immigration lawyer. These are immigration lawyers. Let me put you guys' phone or email on the screen for anybody that may have like follow-up questions with you. Please give me your email one more time. Let me put it on
Okay,
the screen.
so the email, let me text it to you because
Thank
if
you
I'm
so much. I'm pretty sure you've texted it to me in the
that's
past. So sit down with a lawyer. Don't just go by what your friends tell you. A lot of people were told, oh, the only way to get your quali, which is your green card or your social security, is by filing asylum. I was just watching the video of one Nigerian man who was filing asylum. He said that he was gay. And then in the same interview, the person was asking him, so what do you miss anything about Nigeria besides that you are being persecuted? He said, yes, I miss my wife and children. And then he was like, oh, snap. Oh, but and some people will say, yeah, you can be both, you can be bisexual, you can be gay and still be straight at the same time. But in his case, he was clearly lying because as soon as he said that, he was like, oh snap, like he caught himself.
Mhm.
And then I've seen people that will say the only way is for you to do a fake wedding, and that has landed a lot of people in problem. Even if your spouse should call you and tell you, oh, this is babe, this is what we need to do, I'll just do some arrange marriage, whatever. And let's say you are in Nigeria, you are in Nigeria with the kids, and your husband is telling you, I'll just do arrange marriage, get the green card, and then I will file for you. That has caused a lot of issues with a lot of families because what the wife may not understand is, um, if he came with visiting visa, and I'll let you explain, and then gets his green card as a married man, and then you want to go to the embassy, you are claiming to be his wife, the embassy will be like, but he has he has a wife, or how does that work? Because I know people who have been denied because their spouse is already married to someone else here and they bear the same last name.
Yes. So I think for those embassy denials, right? You can't, because they usually, you can just guess. We can just guess and assume that it could be, but usually they won't tell you the reason why they
The
negative.
main reason.
Yeah, they don't. So we're all just get, we're just guessing that okay, it could be because maybe they have a family here or their spouse is here, because I've had to do like FOIA requests with the Department of State just to figure out what the issues were, and they will never produce those documents. They will send us the applications, like the DS-160 applications, but they don't send us like the officer's note or things like that. So we don't really know the reason why the officer exercised their discretion negatively with regards to that particular person. So,
So,
but
but the best thing to do is always to sit
is
down with
always to be on the
immigration.
straight and narrow, because you find,
Yeah.
like you said, you find people who they even all got visas before, right? And then the part of the family entered the US first, and they are settled kind of in the United States, and the other party is about, their visa expires, they went back to the embassy and they never give them a visa. So that happens a lot. As
Hmm.
once they know, okay, you people came together as a family unit to the embassy, and some of you remained in the United States and only one person stayed back. Usually, what I have seen in practice is that they don't issue those visas. The reason I don't know, I can't really tell you the reason, but that is what we see. Then we also see the ones that maybe they enter the United States to have a baby, and they probably didn't disclose to the embassy that they were going to be having a baby here. They use resources to have their children, and then unable to produce the actual receipts or things like that. Those ones too are usually denied visas whenever it is that they go to renew. But we can't really.
So as soon as you're in the US, sit down with immigration lawyer. Know what your options are. Don't just go by what your friends say. I'm about to post the contact that you sent to me just to be sure these are not your personal cell phone
No,
numbers,
no,
right?
no. They're the office numbers. They're not
Okay.
outside numbers.
So I'm posting their contact. If anybody would like to contact them, these are their phone numbers, these are their email addresses. Um, email team@wishire.com. Okay, so those are two different email addresses. Let me put space in between them so that people would know.
And now, like while you're doing that, like for people in removal proceedings, there's the new bill that our big our one
Beautiful.
big beautiful bill act. Yeah, so it's imposing new fees on proceedings. Like, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
So some of
how
those
much
things
is the
gonna
visa now?
the like generally or that integrity fee, because the visa
Oh
plus,
yes, there's
yeah,
also
that's in
that.
addition to the visa, so it's $250 for the integrity fee.
For those that didn't join us earlier, so even after you enter America now you have to pay $250 as guarantee that you will leave when you are supposed to leave. That's what the whole integrity fee is about. When is it going into effect? Because a friend came in recently and they didn't.
He hasn't. Is Jiva back on? I think she's the
Oh,
one.
is it already in effect? Was it
I
supposed
believe
to pay?
it was supposed to be in effect immediately. Jiva, can you speak to
They
the
didn't ask him.
The integrity visa, right? Yeah,
the
that's
fee?
what they're saying. It's in effect, and they say that they will refund the money if you do what you're supposed to do.
Okay,
But
it's gone into effect,
I
right?
don't think it's going to happen because it's going to be a lot of, you know, what do you mean, logistics, or like they don't have anything in place to return it. But they say they're going to refund, but the money is going to some immigration fund for enforcement. So they're going to use it for that. As for returning, they say they'll return, but nothing is in place now. For there's no process in place for the return of the money. Yeah.
Have they started collecting? Do you know if they started
I'm not
collecting?
really sure, but I think so because we have not had a new visa. It's only for when you go for your visa interview at the embassy. They
Oh,
collect it
the
then, not when you,
integrity.
yeah, the integrity fee. For example, when you file a D,
Oh,
I think the current price is 200 something for the week for the form.
so they're gonna
The,
be taking it at the embassy, the integrity
yeah,
fee.
the basic one, there's 160 fee plus 250 integrity. So
No, the
imagine if
DS,
a family of four goes, they have to spend $1,000 extra for the fee.
the DS 160 has been increased now.
Yeah, it's 200 something right now. It was 190 or 160 earlier. Yeah, so
In
but one thing is that only if your visa is issued, you have to pay that. But yes, 160 is like regardless, you have to pay, right?
non-refundable.
Yeah, so but this is if it's issued, you pay this, and they say it's refundable, but there's no process in place to refund the money as of now. So we don't know how it's going to work out.
In Yoruba, they will say Olowo Lokutondo America, which means you need to have a lot of money before you can even enter America at all now, like in dollars. I'm taking some of the questions, but it's gonna be it's a lot. I just want to say real quick to Miss Debbie that you need to expatiate more, that you want to come to the US for your PhD. Any help? I'm not sure exactly what she means.
Oh,
Um,
she should apply to a US university for admission to a PhD program. And once they issue her I-20, she needs to go for her visa interview and make sure her social media is clear. That's what.
Miss Jiva, would you advise international students to pursue coming to the US at this time, or would you
Why
say
not?
that?
Yeah.
Well, they suspended the international student visa at some point. and
Mm,
that is like confusing for a lot of people. So I know a lot of people who are genuinely like considering maybe the US is not the best place to come and study right now. But would you say that they should still pursue studying in the US?
yeah, I mean, that's a personal choice, right? But it's been a little bit more difficult than earlier, but still people are coming in. So it's a personal choice.
Are there new opportunities in the midst of everything happening for people to migrate to the US if they want to move here, to work here, live here with their family?
See, everything is still in place. People are still applying for different kind of visas and investment visas. Nothing has stopped or changed. Only thing, enforcement or scrutiny is more. They are like vetting the applicants more seriously than before. Like it takes more time
Mm.
because they may put you into admin processing to look at your stuff or something like that. You understand? Sorry. Yeah.
Which is which is the working visa for
All
who
the
seek
right?
for who seek employment in the US, whereas the candidate is in Nigeria? I'm not sure I understand what they're saying, but they
Okay,
want to know about working visa, I
maybe
guess.
like the H1Bs.
Yeah, I mean any visa, right? Doesn't matter where you are, whether you are in the US or in Nigeria or any other place, you can apply for the visa. Only difference is if you're not in the US, you go to a consulate for an interview to get your visa stamp to travel. So H1B is there, L1 is there if you have an overseas company. Then what else? Yeah, if you have extraordinary ability, there is O1A and O1B for artists, I mean, for sports people. And then you have all the EB1s. I mean, different green card options. Everything can be done if you're overseas, doesn't matter. Only issue is you have to go to the embassy for an interview. And that being said, now I don't know, like our clients have been waiting for over a year to get an interview date at the Lagos embassy. So I don't know what's happening there. It takes time, even if you get approved. So there's a big backlog in Nigeria.
It's an aftermath of the first
But
administration,
it's
like the
very
travel.
frustrating,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Because the travel ban then was against the issuing of, I think it stopped them from issuing immigrant visas. So you can imagine the number of people that
So
were
it,
unable to, yeah. Then
Yeah.
COVID hit, then we now had the travel ban. They're still trying to clean, then shortage at the embassies as well.
can you apply for masters while waiting for your green card? Also, can you go on a short holiday while waiting?
If you
Uh,
have, okay.
Depends, right? Like when you say masters, are you on F1? Are you already here? Because if you are waiting for your green card, you file your 485, then they may not issue you an F1 visa.
No,
Because,
I don't
yeah,
think the person is trying to apply for an F1. Maybe just go for masters. You can go for your masters even while waiting.
yeah, that's correct. If they are the
Or
US,
under which status?
You don't under if your application is pending, you can still apply
yeah,
for
if
a
you're
master.
in here on F1, that's not a problem. But if you're in
Even you
Nigeria,
have people who have, like, maybe they are, because if you're even if you're you have to ask your school, right? You don't need, some schools will allow you to attend, you can attend some schools without showing valid status, but you have a pending application. So I want to assume that you can apply for a master's program while your application is pending. You have people who are filed for asylum, they haven't yet been approved, but they're going to school. So
always.
that has to do with the school admission. Then with regards to traveling, is as long as you have a valid travel document, the I-1, you file the I-131 and it's valid, it's approved, you can travel. But it's right now, like, if you don't have to travel, then
So what would they use to travel? Is it the travel parole? Is it the F1 visa? Is it
Let's say advanced parole. If they have an
the
F1
advance
visa, then it's fine. But still, I wouldn't suggest traveling on F1 visa after filing 485. So it's better to travel on advanced parole.
okay?
Because once you file your 485, you have shown your immigrant intent, then you may not get F1 or B1, B2. Because those, unless it's an H1B or an L1 visa, which has dual intent. So it's kind of complicated. So, but if once you file your 485, you can file for your advance parole as well. So once you have that, you can travel freely and re-enter.
Traveling from Nigeria to US through work permit. I'm not sure what that means. Is it to bring your family along?
Yeah, depends on the, yeah, almost all work permits have dependent visas attached to it. Only thing, your spouse may not be able to work if they are in H1B unless there are some specific conditions to be met. L1 spouses can work.
As an international student creating a business, must it be in the field of my current F1 visa? My former F1 was in accounting. My current one is in health science.
So, in the case of field of F1, that applies only if you're doing it while on OPT. Like, are you doing the creating the business so that you can be in valid OPT status, or are you doing creating the business just because you want a business? So that's the question. If it's OPT, it has to be in your field. But if you're just starting a business and being an owner of the business, no issue,
I
as long as
think
you don't work for the business.
I think the lady should also send you guys an email. I think they may need follow-up questions. During my EB1A adjustment, I did not include my ex and kids. I learned they were not my kids. I included my legal wife. I hope it's not a problem for I-485. I have an this is the first part of the question. Sorry. I have an urgent question. During my F1 interview in Nigeria, I stated I have two kids from a previous relationship, not married. Now I have a legitimate wife. During my adjustment of status, I did not include my ex and kids because I learned they were not mine. They are not mine. I only included my legal wife. I hope it's okay and not a problem for my I-485.
It could be a problem for the I-485, especially because you've already disclosed that previously. So, what you can do is, or what this person can do is probably to, if was there a DNA, how did you learn that they are not your kids? So, if you did have like a DNA test done, or then maybe you may want to have a copy of that handy, just in case the UNCIS reviews your previous consular records and then they're claiming that you're misrepresenting facts or you're deliberately omitting some facts on your present application. So it could go to fraud or misrepresentation, or like you're not
It's only
this,
between the kids, right? Sorry, yeah, kids, not the sex, right? He was
yeah.
not married to her.
At least I don't think he said he disclosed the,
Yeah, it's just the kids.
yeah.
Hmm.
And if they're not yours, they're not yours. That explains the reason why they're not on your current application, because they're asking for your children. So if those children that you had back then were not they were proven not to be yours, then they're not your children. So you're not lying on those forms. However, you should have proof of that handy.
Okay, Miss Jiva, I sent you a text. See if you see it. There should be a private chat in there. Okay, so I have a number of questions as well. This person is saying my professorship will be announced next year. At present, I'm a senior lecturer. Can I apply for EB1A or EB2 now, or should I wait for my professorship before I apply? This is a lecturer, they will soon be a professor. Should they apply for their EB1 as lecturer, or should they wait to be professor
It
before
all,
applying?
yeah, it doesn't matter whether they are professor or lecturer. It depends on their profile. So unless they see their full CV and evaluate, we cannot comment on that. So, but waiting for professorship does help him to increase his chances because he has more experience, and probably I don't know. I cannot comment until I see his CV, his or her CV.
Okay. Should they wait? Should they not wait? Because when they apply, they still need to wait for a while before it would reach them.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm saying, should they wait? Should they not wait? Because after they submit their application, they still have a waiting period. It won't be immediately that they will be called.
No, it doesn't matter. It's like that at the day of, like, if you're applying for this, for example, if you're applying for maybe 1A today, they will look only at the things that happen up until today. If you got an award tomorrow and you did not mention, you cannot mention that later on. It's only up until the day you have filed for your application. So waiting, so we don't know, even if the person is a professor, they may not qualify for EB1A. We have to look at the CV to determine that. Think you are muted.
Send them an email so that they can, answer your question very well. Pay for a private session. It's not expensive. Let all your questions be answered. For someone that just got married, but your wife still has a passport that carries her father's name, is it possible to use it as a dependent, or she needs to do change of name before applying for a spousal visa?
I don't understand. Who is the petitioner? Who is the beneficiary? Like,
I guess
who?
the husband is petitioning for his wife, but her passport has her father's name.
It doesn't matter. You don't need to. What
Well, it
matters
doesn't
in
matter.
marriage-based cases is your intent when you got married. So it doesn't matter. Even if you change your name and your intent was to marry for immigration purposes, it still doesn't make the marriage right. So it doesn't matter. It's a personal thing. If the two
Yeah.
of you decide, or if she decides that she wants to change her name, then fine. Otherwise, no. You just
It,
need to put the bona fides of your relationship.
there are some people that literally don't change their name until
Mhm.
the day they get their citizenship. You have the opportunity to do a name change on the day of citizenship.
Exactly.
It's way easier than all the steps that you would have to take to change your name. So that's another option.
Yeah.
Someone has been asking about K visas, and this person is also asking about DS 260.
Okay. What are people that are on, is that what's the particular question about it? What about people that are on immigrant visa for DS-260? So the DS-260 is the application for the immigrant visa. So if you can be specific about your question, that would be helpful. So K visas, we have the K1 visas for fiancés of US citizens. So you have to show that you and your fiance you met within the past 2 years and you're in a valid relationship and you have the intent to marry each other within 90 days of entry into the country. You have to get married within 90 days of your fiance's entry into the country. So once the K visa is approved here, it's kind of a bit similar to the marriage based. They treat it kind of similarly to the marriage based petition. So once it's approved, it goes on to the embassy. So for further adjudication, if it's granted at the embassy, you're entering into the country, you get married within 90 days, and after the marriage, the two of you don't have to file the I-130 anymore. All you just do is file the I-485 for for your spouse at that point to adjust status within the country. So then you now have another, I believe it's the K3 visa for spouses of US citizens. So let's assume you filed for your spouse and your spouse is outside the country and the application has been pending for such a long time. So your spouse you can actually file for that K3 visa to allow your spouse entry into the country for them to wait for the adjudication of the I-130 petition. However, if the I-130 petition is granted before the K3 visa, they're just going to deny the K3 visa. It's going to be moot automatically, and then you have to go through the consular processing.
Thank you. I've been putting your contact on the screen because some people are asking for it. Also, this person is asking if your company files the EB2 self petition visa, and I believe the answer is yes, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
All right. So Emmanuel Okeke was asking for your email address. We already went through his question. He was the one asking about not including the names of the children that he found out are not his. So I'm putting their contact on the screen again. Please send them an email. Also, a number of people wrote in here the word that they believe that you were looking for the other time that you were talking. Some people wrote treason, some people wrote
Treason.
espionage. Okay,
Yes,
so
thank you. Thank
oh,
you.
awesome, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
Thank you so much.
the gentleman that talked about the children not being his said that I did not state them in my DS 160. I only stated my
Then
name.
that's fine then. That's fine.
Okay.
Let me read it. So that means you're consistent. So you're consistent, then it's okay. It's fine.
I applied for J1 visa. I got denied twice from Qatar. Would that impact my future application?
I don't think so. It depends on the reason for the denial of your visa. So if you don't have, if there's no inadmissibility, no, it
Okay.
wouldn't impact any future application.
I'm not sure what edit means, but she's saying what's the current advantage of illegal immigrants currently in the US?
I don't right now. I really don't see any advantage. Um,
There has never been any
mm,
advantage,
no,
you know.
there's never been. It's true because it gets frustrating. That's the reason why it's very good to act quickly once you enter the country. And sometimes, like if you're entering maybe like on a B1, B2 and you decide to stay, just to know that you may end up having to file for a student visa. The way the system is set up, you usually would have to put something back into the system. Like you have to invest in the system, whichever way. So if you're coming in on a B1, B2 and you're going to be attending school, make sure you maybe changing to a student visa, make sure you have funds
Before
access.
you go out of
Yeah,
status.
before you have to do it before you go out of status. There's no,
Before
and
you go out of
people get
status.
frustrated. Like one of the most heartbreaking moments as an attorney is having to tell a client that I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you.
Hmm. Anyways, this person is asking if the integrity fee applies. It applies to every visa, right?
No, the I want to 9F. I want to presume is the fiance,
Okay.
if I'm correct. So I don't think it will apply to fiancés because you're not coming in. You're coming in with the expectation of residing in the United States. So there's no
Yeah.
reason
So
for
it's
you to
only non-immigrant visas.
grant. Yes, it's for non-immigrant visas.
And that's the same question this person is asking. So it's only for non-immigrants. I applied for citizenship for years now. I've not received any word.
So it depends on where you are. So if you've not been called in for an interview, it's indefinite. But if you have been called in for an interview, they should make a decision, I believe, within 90 days or so of your interview. So if you haven't received a decision yet, then make sure you contact them. You can file
Um,
an inquiry.
when I was waiting for years for my own, and I didn't hear anything. I mean, I would call and they would always tell me, "We'll let you know
Mm-hmm.
if you need anything." And it was becoming years. What I did was I contacted Bootsman office,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's no longer in existence. Yes, it was one of the first things that they closed down. We don't have that anymore. Yeah. And one
this
bizarre
is
thing that another bizarre
heartbreaking.
thing that I'm seeing, right? So my clients, we attended interview because I have two cases currently with this same situation. Interview, after the interview, no information. So one of them was even proactive, like he'll keep calling, and after like several calls, they send in an email that he's on, like they've scheduled for oath ceremony. So I have another one I called and they sent an email with the same thing. So you call USCIS, okay, my client is scheduled. They said this is the email that we received from the field office that the client has been scheduled, is in line waiting for oath ceremony. And then sometimes they act as if they don't even know what is on file, and the progress in the USCIS online portal still shows that the case is pending adjudication. So which one do we go for? Like, are we going for the fact that we have an oath, somebody has is been approved, but the approval is not reflecting online? So,
Wow, this is heartbreaking. The ombudsman office usually, if people have been waiting for a long time and they're not hearing, if they contact them, then they would contact immigration on your behalf, and something will happen within a number of weeks because they called me within like 2 weeks or so. They fixed my interview date, and I was like, why didn't I call them this whole time? And I'm usually the one telling everybody contact the ombudsman
mhm,
office. Wow, I didn't know they closed them down. So who's
yeah.
advocating now for applicants?
Maybe they're Congress people, they're congressmen and
Oh, and those ones have their hands full.
yeah, takes a while.
Really?
So it's
Mm.
120 days. Like if they haven't made a decision within 120 days, then you can reach out to them.
Mm, gosh. Okay. I'm sorry. How far are they digging back in looking into how you got your citizenship?
So I think this happens to do with people who maybe they present themselves.
Misrepresented themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like let's assume for if you're a US citizen, right, and you have no reason to go back to the USCIS, they're not going to start looking for all the naturalized citizens to begin digging into our histories as to how we obtained our citizenship. However, if you by yourself apply for a benefit for a particular family member, you provide them an
Mm.
opportunity to review how you obtained your citizenship. So in that situation, yes, they may dig into um, your history, your immigration history, to see whether or not you validly obtained your citizenship. So anyone that is filing applications now, make sure that your hands are clean. If you know that you had problems before you even got your citizenship, don't even bother filing an application at this current moment, because it may lead to investigations of your own, like of your own citizenship history.
The best thing is just don't lie, and then you don't need to worry. Whatever
Mhm,
you do, make sure that just write the truth at all times. If you've ever been
mhm,
denied visa, write it. If you've ever
mhm.
been denied citizenship, write it. Like whatever it is, just write the truth at all times. Then you won't need to worry, because it's sad to see that they're going back and looking at how people got their citizenship. So, uh, can someone say something about waiting for green card? Okay, I think we actually answered this question already. And someone was asking about EB1, and I said that yes, your office files EB1. I don't understand this question. I have a US visa to acquire when I arrive. How can I go about it when I arrive?
What can you be more specific? What type of visa
Yeah,
are you requiring?
Jam or Siri, you need to be because you need to have already acquired the visa before you can enter the country. You can't enter the country before acquiring the visa. So maybe let us understand
Because
what
or
you
if
mean.
it's like an immigrant visa, usually when you're entering the country, you're coming in with your package, like with your, they would have sealed it from the embassy. And on here, when you arrive at the border, the officer would admit you into the country formally. If you've paid the immigrant visa fee, because there is a separate immigrant visa fee that you pay, if you pay that ahead of time, they will just send your green card to whatever address that you indicated on your application.
As a chef, what's the best visa option for someone that wants to move to the US and work as a chef? They are right now living in Kuwait.
Okay. Can we have is Jiva back on them?
I'm not seeing her at the back end, but please send them an email, Mr. Vicky Super.
But I know on a general note,
Yeah, so
Jiva,
generally
here's your
it's difficult. Like if you are a specialty chef, like if you are, we could try AB1A. We have done that for chefs, but you need to be like you need to satisfy at least three criteria out of the 10. So it depends on your CV, what kind of a chef you are. Are you considered an international chef? Did you want to win any competitions? All those things. But there's always the option of H2B, uh, but that's like a quota-centric visa, and it's specifically for people from certain countries, and I don't think Nigeria is one of those. No. So I think EB1A is an option if the person is a celebrity chef. I'm not saying celebrity exactly, but someone who's internationally known or satisfies at least three out of the 10 criteria. So it has been done, but it's not easy. Or
Awesome.
H1B if you are if you have a master's bachelor's degree, and an employer can file for you and show that like you are like a food specialist, or we can get creative about it. So H1B is an option, but that's an employer. You need an employer and you need to get selected in the lottery, and it's closed for this year.
and the EB3, right?
Yeah, EB3 is also there. I don't mention EB3 because it takes a long time for you to get the visa. Like even the process takes like the first two processes, even before we file, it takes 2 years plus, and it's expensive to the employer. So it's very difficult for you to find an employer willing to wait and spend that money and then file. So we can look at, and once even when you get your approval, the visas are not current. You have to wait again. So I never suggest EB3 unless they are here on another visa and they can wait.
This lady's nephew did his interview June 14th, but they took his passport to review his social media platforms. They're wondering when this process will be finalized and when his passport will be
Yeah,
returned.
I that's what I mentioned earlier. I read a memo to the consular officers for this. They have indefinite time to review, so we don't know. It's
So,
up to them. If the officer is good enough, he'll review. I mean, they
so
don't
it,
have exact time to return the, you
it
know.
looks like she's hoping for him to travel before school starts, but it may be how would you advise them?
We don't know about it. Like it's
Maybe
up to
an
the officer.
maybe an email to the embassy with the
Yeah, but
school
everybody
return
is
date,
like,
but that administrative, even before this issue with the student visas or generally with non-immigrant visas, once the case is put in administrative processing, that's like a dark hole, that you don't know how long
yeah,
it will take for them to.
Go
you
and
should.
intensify prayers. But should they travel while they're waiting or not?
They cannot unless they have a B1, B2. Then maybe they can think about changing status. But by default, all F1 students are put in admin processing now. But I think the officers also know that they have to attend school, right? I'm
Mhm.
hoping they will give them back if there's no issue
Yeah.
before fall, because it doesn't, like, what's the purpose then if you can't attend school on time?
Mm.
Yeah, so
It's
should
just disheartening. Well, I think it's even creating more work. If I'm an officer now, I don't think I would enjoy it.
exactly.
Now you have to do extra work.
Green card has been paused for asylee and refugees. Any updates on that? Can an asylee travel with travel document while they're still
Um,
waiting for their green card?
yes, they can travel with the travel document while waiting for the green card.
So like the
So,
parole, travel
yeah,
parole.
the parole, yes, but don't go to your country of origin, like or wherever it is that you were seeking asylum from. But yes, you can travel while the green card is still pending.
Is there any update on their green card being paused?
Mm, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, about the pause. I know the pause had more to do with those people that were paroled into the country. Like if you came in like through the border and you were paroled into the United States, there was a pause on adjudicating green card for those ones. So I'm not sure about the asylee or refugee green card pause, but I know there was a pause for those people who were paroled into the country and then they have pending green card applications, maybe granted asylum, or even because I have like a marriage-based petition, but he was paroled as well. They were granted it, but we're waiting for adjudication of the I-485. So that's much I know.
I have a question, Miss Jiva. Can you do 5 more minutes, or we should wrap up in 2 minutes? We've been on for 1 hour 18 minutes.
Okay.
Can you do 5 more minutes?
Sure.
Okay. Um, can I re-enter with my green card after running with law? I came on K1 visa. I got my 10 years green card, I guess, by 2019. So I don't fully understand this question, but maybe they had an issue with the law and now they're out of the country. They're wondering if they can still re-enter with their green card.
Yeah, when they re-enter, if they find there is a deportable offense, they can detain them and deport them. I mean, they can detain them. That's the current situation. So when he means running with law, we don't know what exactly that is. So if it is serious enough for a deportation order, yes. When that's what we are seeing in the media now. They're saying, oh, they arrested this green card holder. It's all because they have something in their in their record. It's not like they don't arrest anybody. Like, if you're clean, nobody's going to arrest you. So kept seeing like social media and other news saying that even if you're a green card holder, you could be deported. Yes, green card holders can be deported. So if they have any serious issues in their record, yes. So we don't know what exactly is this issue. So if he has a DUI or a, you know anything
We
serious.
we took this lady's question earlier, and she says to follow up on her business question, she's an international student starting out her second F1 visa. She wants to create a business before OPT, and she wants to use it to get the self-sponsored H1B visa.
Yeah. So as long as she's not using it for OPT purposes, the reason I say so is because for OPT, you can get a job, you can start your own business and work for it as long as it's in your field of study. So it depends on what OPT I remember she saying she has got two F1. I'm assuming her first OPT is over and she's on to her second F1. So depends on what the business is. If she doesn't want to use it for OPT but just for H1B, she can do that and she can start entering herself in the lottery from next year. She doesn't have to wait for OPT to get over or F1 to be over. She can do it anytime. Any business. Doesn't matter.
I also think she should email you and book a session with you. The K visa question that we were talking about the other time, the person is saying that he's talking about K3 visas to be specific. They want to know if you file K3 visas. Is that, I don't know if that was the question actually.
I think somebody asked for us to discuss K visas. So that was when we went into the discussion about K1 and K3. So the K3, as mentioned earlier, is for US citizens, spouses of US citizens who are meant to consular process. Like you've had an I-130 for your spouse is outside of the country, but you want them, it's taking a long time for them to adjudicate that case. So you want them to enter the United States on that K3 visa so they can await the adjudication of the visa while in the United States. So that's what the K3 is for. It's a process or a mechanism by which you can bring in your spouse who has a pending application into the United States, if you're a US citizen, and have them wait for the adjudication while they are here in the United States. However, once the I-130, the base petition you filed is approved, the K3 becomes moot, so they will deny the K3 and tell your spouse to wait for the consular processing of the visa.
If someone has been in the US illegally for over 10 years, and they have a child that is now over 21, and the child has US citizenship and a job above poverty level, can the child file green card for the parent, or is it risky?
It
How
dep-
can, sorry, how can they file for
they will
green card?
file. It depends on how the parents entered the country. That will determine the level of risk. So if the parents entered the country legally with a visa and they were admitted into the country, then the risk is minimal. You can just file the I-130, I-485, everything all together at once. Even if the child has a job below poverty level, you can always find a joint sponsor to co-sign, to not co-sign, like to support the application. So it's fine. However, if the person entered illegally, then there's going to be a need for, like if you entered illegally into the country, you will need to file for a state, is what they call a stateside waiver of inadmissibility for that unlawful presence, which means you won't be able to apply for your green card inside the country. You have to go to the embassy. So the first
That
stage,
is if the parent crossed the
if
border.
they cross the border, yes, if they cross the border.
I just got married in Nigeria a few months ago. On arriving here, I was informed that my wife in Nigeria is pregnant. Now I'm wondering if I should wait till the baby is born, or I can file for her and then later add the baby to the visa. Sorry that I laughed, but the
If
way
you're,
he
if
put it,
you're,
he said he was informed that his wife is pregnant. Uncle, did you not do the deed? As in, you said you were informed that she's pregnant. Okay, so
yeah,
I guess maybe he had filed for her as just her. So he's asking now. Should he wait for the baby to be born in Nigeria and then add the baby, or should he go ahead with what he already filed?
So I want to presume he's a US citizen. If he's a US citizen, the baby is a US citizen at birth. So you don't need to add any baby to any application. The baby is a US citizen.
And does he need to wait for the child to be born in Nigeria? Like, can he move
Yeah, no, he
forward
can file for the mom now if he hasn't filed already. But if he has filed, that's fine. Let that go in process. The minute your baby is born, the just register the birth of the child with the embassy. So
with the
they'll ask
US
you
embassy in
U.S. Embassy
Nigeria?
in Nigeria, and they'll issue the child their like a birth record and all that. Your child is a US. If you are a US citizen, then your child is a US citizen. If you're a permanent resident, I will say go ahead and file for your wife. If you haven't filed for your wife, you don't need to. Once your wife gets the what's it called for permanent residents, if you file the application, your child can always be added on later automatically. So that's fine as well.
And along with that line, can a green card holder marry and file for someone who's already in the US for like years? They didn't give us the full question, but I'm guessing that maybe the other person may be out of status. Can a green card holder marry them and file for them?
Definitely, the green card holder can marry and file for someone, but you have to bear in mind that the person would not be an immediate relative, which means that they have to wait until there's a visa for them, so they will not be able to file for adjustment immediately. So, and with green card holders, because they fall under the preference categories, your spouse would have to be, or this person's spouse will have to be in valid status to adjust. So, like the parents that entered if the parents entered illegally, if a green card holder files for somebody who is out of status, the person would also have to leave the country to go and obtain their green card.
Okay. Um, Also, is it better if they wait to become a citizen
I
and
think
then
that's the
file
best
for
thing.
them?
It's
Huh?
the best. It's the best because
So,
they wouldn't have to leave the country at that point, and they
so
can file it
maybe,
at once, or they can file their base application, the I-130. The only concern with filing that right now is on that form you're disclosing the person's address, and if the person is out of status and within the United States, you don't want to provide the government their current address by which they can pick that person up. So
yeah, it may be better sometimes to wait for the person to be a citizen. All right. Thank you so much, ladies. A lot of people have been asking for your email address. I'm going to put it on the screen one more time. But I just have time for this one more question from Oluwatomilayo, who said USCIS made a mistake in their 2E waiver approval. Who do I contact for a correction? Is it EB2? Oh.
What way was that? 2E?
So, Ms. Oluwatomilayo, that maybe we need more detail on the kind of visa or the waiver, because the 2E is not ringing a bell. For those who've been asking, this is their phone numbers. These are their phone numbers and their email addresses. Please contact them, book a consultation session with them so that they can go in. There are so many other questions we're not able to get to today. I'm truly sorry to every one of you, but please email them. That's why they're question is their email address is on the screen. Email them, call them, but if you are calling them, please check the work hours in Houston before you call them. Make sure that it's during work hours in Houston because of the time difference from all over the world. Okay. Like I said, there are so many other questions. Someone adopted a child from Nigeria and so on. They are wondering how to go about it during this administration. Ms. Oluwatomlayo responded, I came in with J1. Hmm.
Oh, it's a waiver for residency. I mean, sorry, home country residency, probably.
So the
So
USCIS made a mistake in their waiver.
the best option would be to try the online option. Like there's a USCIS made an error. Like I have seen it working, but sometimes not. But I have used it earlier. You just put in your there's a it's just the USCIS website. What is it? Is it the case status
Mm-hmm.
online case status website?
Yeah.
And just go to USCIS website, and there is a option for if they made an error. You put in your information. They'll ask a couple of questions, and I have seen them correcting it, but not sure it will
Not,
happen.
yeah, sometimes they don't. Sometimes
Mm.
they don't.
In fact,
Can't
I
you
corrected
call
something.
them?
So yeah,
Yeah.
calling them is also an
You can
option.
also call them.
Mm.
It may take a while to get to speak to someone,
Or
but
you can use
trying.
the Emma option, the chat option on the USCIS website. Sometimes they connect you to, not sometimes, so you can connect to a live agent chatting. And I have used that also. But sometimes it doesn't work. But this correcting an error, if it's their error, I mean, I corrected something, but I'm not sure it will work. She can try that.
So this one is not a question as we end. A number of people wrote something like this about traveling while you're on parole. And I just wanted to ask, as I close down, do you have any advice for anybody who has a travel parole, anybody who has a green card, who travels out of the country at a time like this? Normally, you could stay up to 6 months before coming back. Do you have, should they be worried? Should people with travel parole be worried at all?
I don't think so because I've had clients travel on the parole and they were able to re-enter the country without any incident. So, but if you have a criminal history or a pending conviction, or
Mm-hmm.
sorry, pending criminal charges, I wouldn't be traveling anywhere by now.
Any arrest or anything out of the ordinary.
Exactly. But if you don't have any issues, there's no I don't see envisage any issues when you're re-entering the country. But that said, if you're on travel parole, or a travel document, know that your re-entry into the United States is not guaranteed. You know, it's a discretionary benefit for you to be admitted back into the country. However, I've not seen anyone like in recent times that had problems, except for those that actually had maybe like criminal issues. Same goes for a permanent resident. If you're a green card holder and you want to travel, there's no problem with you traveling. However, if you have a criminal conviction or pending charges, you'll be treated as an arriving alien, which means that they will review your case at the border, and if your crime is a deportable offense, you'll be placed into removal proceedings from there. You'll be detained from the airport, and then they would have to schedule you for a hearing before the immigration judge. So those are the only set of people that I would advise not to travel. Like if you know you have pending criminal charges, or if you have a criminal conviction. So but otherwise, I don't envisage any problems. But if you're concerned, you may as well just, based on what is going on at this time, you may just want to stay where you are and not travel. However, you have some people, I had a client who was like really anxious. She hadn't seen her family for years, she was going through a lot. So, I encouraged her to travel when she wanted to travel and she was able to re-enter the country. Because you do have people who need to travel, even if it's just for a mental health break.
And I just wanted to advise also that if you're traveling on parole, whenever you're coming back to the US, especially if you will go through US immigration before getting on the plane, make sure you give yourself extra time to go through with the US immigration before you get on the plane, because they would usually take you to another room each time to go over your file and all that, and then give you back your card. They'll ask you some questions. So just keep that in mind, that if you don't want to miss your flight, if you're traveling on parole card, make sure you give yourself plenty of time. I'm extremely grateful to both of you for making the time today. People still have a lot of questions. Please and please email them, book a consultation session, pay. They deserve, you've had free 1.5 hours of just asking them questions, bombarding them with questions. So um you shouldn't be stingy to spend some money on yourself to get further clarification. So thank you so much, ladies, for what you've done today. If you need to take a screenshot of this email and phone number, do that. If you need to write it down, do that. And I also want you to know that a lot of people thanked you in the comment section. So I didn't put it on the screen, but a lot of people were thanking you in the comment section for coming on the show today. And I also want to thank you. We truly appreciate you. All right, ladies, have a wonderful weekend. Get some rest. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us from wherever you're joining us from. Bye, everyone. All right.